Welcome to the Podunk Polymath, a podcast dedicated to the sentiments of secular, sarcastic, screwed-up Southern SJW and skeptic. I'm your host, Chris. Come on in. This is episode 50 of the Triple Po. Thanks again for joining me. Hope you had a super spectacular weekend. This week on the pre-ramble, Trump is a piece of shit. Oh yes, I know that's nothing new, but he's really outdone himself this time. Of course, as usual, by a tweet. He has said that basically transgender people are no longer welcome in the military because apparently they cost too much money or something bullshit like that. Of course, as several people have pointed out, it costs more for men to get Viagra, erectile dysfunction treatment over a period of however long than it does any of that. And of course, there's all the plane that cost a lot of money that's sitting there. A fleet of them is just sitting there in the desert because they don't ever use them. So that's a bullshit excuse. He's just being a transphobic prick. Actually, he's trying to get Republican favor for passing a bullshit budget. And of course, he's trying to use that to pander. But from what I've read in the New York Times article, LGBT rights have pretty much become ingrained even for Republicans, and a lot of them aren't buying it. A lot of them just pissed because you can't just legislate via Twitter. I mean, I guess you can if you're a fuck up like he is, but they're mad because, you just overlook Congress and shit. Of course, Congress has got an ego all of its own, but regardless. So I've looked, and according to the article, Pentagon says that nothing has been sent to them. There's no... You have to do certain paperwork, regulation changes, all that kind of good stuff. So for now, everything is going to remain the same, but I don't know if this is actually what's going to happen, to be honest with you. I don't know if he's going to get talked out of it or whatever. I don't know. But it's a huge step back and not surprising at all, but still disgusting and pathetic. I can't believe this fucking Cheeto in chief is our president. It just boggles my mind. So much anger. So much idiocy. So much anger at his idiocy, I should say. But again, nothing new. I will say that the effort to repeal Obamacare has failed again. McCain, while at first coming off his deathbed to vote to keep the argument alive, debate alive, which admittedly I think I misread. At first I thought it was to basically repeal it. That was the vote to repeal it, but it was the vote to keep it debate alive on the floor, which, maybe that's splitting hairs. I don't know. But anyway, when it came down to the actual vote, he voted no. And his vote, I think, was the decisive vote. So, I feel kind of bad, but not, because he's done a lot of other shit, as a Republican to fuck people over. So, I don't know. It's one of those things. You have to give him kudos for what he did this time, but there's so many other things he's done that haven't been so great. So, you can make your own judgment on that. Another great Trump-related news item is some dude named Scaramucci is now the spokesman for the White House, getting rid of Reince Priebus, the backwards sounding name. This guy's a real winner. He thinks it's cool. He thinks cursing somehow makes it, you're hardcore. You're like, ooh, I'm so honest. And he's basically, somebody leaked some information out of the White House, and he had an interview with a reporter, and he's like, tell me who they are so I can basically go kick their, I don't know if he meant it, probably didn't mean it literally, but still, you just go around telling them, I'm going to fucking beat the shit out of every staff member, White House staff. I'm like, oh, that's great. Yeah, that's what we need. More violence. So yeah, Trump is a gem at selecting people for his administration that are just the bigly best. I don't know. Whatever words you want to use. They need one of those random word generators like they have for Deepak Chopra to make up fucking Trump quotes, because you can never fucking tell. A bunch of mushmouth bullshit. Anyway, enough about Trump. Of course, as you may or may not know or be aware of, the 1-year anniversary of the Triple Po is approaching. I have decided to do a live show, and it will be August 12th at 7:30 Central Time. My co-host will be Zach from the Zacharlage Cast, good friend and beer provider. I shall be taking calls on Skype. That will be, of course, if you call Skype, it's Seethin' Heathen, is my handle, SEETHINHEATHEN. Of course, you can also call the call number for voicemail, 615-378-POPO, 7676. And you can leave a voicemail and I read it on the show. You can comment on the YouTube live feed or whatever. It'd be cool if you called in. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Me and Zach are going to talk about the old times. I don't know. I have no clue. I'm hoping to talk about some subjects. I haven't decided exactly what yet, but it's going to be 2 hours. I'm looking at a 2-hour time frame on YouTube Live. I will release the information. I'm going to make an event page for it so y'all can keep track. I know y'all are super excited. I am. I think it's amazing that I've made it this long. But anyway, yeah, August 12th, 7:30 p.m. Central. Tune in to the Podunk Polymath YouTube channel. Of course, if you just go YouTube/the Podunk Polymath, there it'll be. So I hope y'all listen. And of course, I will release the actual, a podcast, regular podcast episode of it after I rip it down to audio, and I'll just release it as a regular episode. So, like I said, if you want to call in, leave me a voicemail, write a letter, I don't know, something. I hope you will. On to the subject of palaver this week. I have a couple that are starting a podcast soon after I begged them and pleaded with them to please don't kill me, but to start a podcast instead. Their names, Jenica and Patrick Crail. Of course, everybody knows the Crails is a super nice, eerily kind couple, activists, and sexiness is their trademark. So, we have a great conversation about their upcoming podcast, what they do, what they're all about, their backgrounds, and what kind of beer they drink. So, it's going to be exciting, it's going to be illuminating, and it's going to be sexy. Stay tuned.
Hey everybody, this is X.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Felicia. We're the Utah Outcasts.
3 out, unashamed, and active atheists living in Utah.
And we are personally inviting you to let us love your ears each and every week.
As we take the news, current events, and pop culture and give it a little twist.
A love twist, with consent.
And we'll be joined each week by a special guest to tell us what makes them an outcast like us.
Come find us.
The Utah Outcasts.
On podhell.com, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play,
Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
And on utahoutcast.com.
We finally bought that domain off the kids handing out mixtapes in the mall.
Come be an outcast with us.
Take care of yourselves out there.
Bonne nuit.
And you're welcome.
Hey y'all, this is Tucker from the Atheist in the Trailer Park Podcast. And I might live in a beer can, but I ain't no inbred redneck. And if you listen to my podcast, I'm gonna learn you something. And no, I ain't talking about how to marry your cousin and not have kids with 16 fingers and stuff like that. I mean, I actually talk about real stuff and teach people where the Bible stole its stories from. So y'all give me a listen, would you? Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the Palaver here on the Podunk Polymath Podcast. This week I have with me a couple that I consider friends. One is a activist. She's a group leader for Recovering from Religion and a helpline agent. She also does video editing for the Tri-State Freethinkers. And just a cool person and pretty hot, to be honest with you. And the other part of the couple just drinks and watches kids, apparently, and looks pretty. So I present to you the hottest couple in atheism, Jenica and Patrick Crail. How y'all doing?
Hey there.
Good. How are you doing?
Super well. Thanks for asking. Yeah, we put things off a little bit because my beer was in the freezer and I had to get a little cold, because that's important. So first of all, why don't y'all just kind of give me I gave a brief intro. Why don't y'all kind of just give me a little more of an introduction to yourselves?
All right. Well, like you said, I'm involved with Recovering from Religion. I've been involved with that for, I think, about 1.5 years or so. I just do little activist things here and there whenever I get a chance. We have 2 young children, so it makes it a little bit tricky. But we've been to several conferences and got to meet some awesome folks like yourself. And yeah, I blog here and there. Haven't been super active with that. But the main thing that we're about to get started with is our new podcast, which was thanks to your encouragement, really.
Well, If you insist. No. But we'll get to that. But
when you came to visit us and we were talking about that, I mean, that was really the push that got us started. So
yeah, because we had been talking about it, but the extra encouragement that it might be successful.
I see I already got like 10 patrons or something. So, I mean, and you only didn't put a damn episode yet.
We haven't even started it.
So
I was not doing that at all, but that's pretty awesome. We have some amazing friends. I
pretty much figured that was going to happen. So that's why I wasn't too worried about y'all running short on funds or anything as far as equipment and stuff. Because I already knew Johnny was going to give you all that stuff beforehand.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That definitely got us started.
So that was pretty awesome. So yeah, why don't you, first of all, I want to tell everybody that I barely escaped with my life that night in Cincinnati. I was this close to being in the backyard, 6 feet under. Just saying. Anyway.
We decided you could be helpful to us with starting a podcast. So well, probably shouldn't off this guy.
Yeah, once we get started, maybe we'll
I was going to say.
have you back up.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, so why don't you kind of give me your backstory of how y'all met, what y'all backgrounds are, and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, I grew up conservative Christian, ever since I was a child. From there, I met Jenica working at Olive Garden. We were both still Christians at that point. And it was kind of a part of our relationship and why
being Christian?
Yeah. And why we ended up together.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
Because that one day you were asking me about a missions trip I was going on, and we started talking about like what church we go to, and I'm like, oh my God, he's a Christian. Like I can actually be with this guy. So yeah, it was a huge part of why we were together, but it quickly became more about how hot you are.
Wow. Okay, at least you got that shallowness.
Oh yeah. But yeah, we started dating, and things moved pretty quickly because we were trying to like wait for marriage for sex and stuff like that. Didn't really work, but we tried real hard. So we got married 2 years. 2 years after we started dating.
Got married.
Yeah. And our wedding was more of a worship service than a wedding. It was like worship songs from beginning to end, and our reception was, a bunch of praying, and every toast had something to do with God. So that was the first 4.5 years of our marriage. It was all just very like God-centered. It got a little less so towards the end, just because I think we both had some big questions that were kind of like clouding the excitement over the whole God thing. But yeah, it was in 2014, the end of 2014, my dad came out as an atheist, and that was like the big event that made us both decide that we needed to look into our faith a little bit deeper and figure out the answers to our questions. And it was only 2 months later that I came out and said I was a full-blown atheist. But I
was more like 6-7 months in.
Yeah. Patrick started looking into things, but a little bit slower. He didn't have as much time on his hands. I was staying at home with the boys, so I constantly had either an audiobook or a podcast in my ears. And then also I went to the library and got just like a shit ton of books, and was reading apologetics and atheist books and trying to like figure out, which one makes sense. And, the obvious answer is that the atheist side made a lot of sense. But that actually, that's kind of like our story fast forward. When I was 20, my brother, who was 16 at the time, came out as an atheist to my family and told us that he had always been an atheist, that he never believed any of it. And that is what really got me starting to doubt and ask questions, because I was thinking, what the hell? Like, my brother is one of the best people I know. He is a good person through and through. And here he's telling me that he is an atheist, which in my mind, that means immoral, all you want to do is sin, you're, worshiping Satan or whatever. Like, just all these ideas of what an atheist meant started running through my head, and none of them fit my brother. And also the fact that I had to believe that if he died tomorrow, he would go to hell and suffer for eternity. And that just made absolutely no sense. Like, it made it more real to me, because until that point, everyone in my life had been Christian, like we all just agreed. And then all of a sudden, one of the closest people in my life did not agree. And I had to like grapple with that. So that's what kind of like set me down the road. And I like, that's one of the biggest arguments that I have for people when I tell people that, if you are able to, you should be an out atheist, because that is really what did it for me. My brother coming out and then my dad coming out, like that made the huge difference for me.
So when did you get in the whole activism thing?
Almost immediately, for me at least.
Yeah, with Dogma.
Well, not even before that. So in February of 2015 is when I announced on Facebook that I had, walked away from religion and now considered myself an atheist. And in April of that year, I started my blog, Real Life Beyond Faith. And I was active on it more at first, kind of became a little inactive on it over the past couple of years. But then I got involved with Dogma debate, first as a volunteer and then as a paid employee. That lasted about 6 or 7 months, I think. And then I quit with them and got involved with Recovering from Religion. Actually, well, I was involved with them before that even. I wanted to become a hotline agent because when I heard about the hotline, well, it's called the helpline now, but when I heard about what they're doing, like supporting people who are questioning and doubting their faith, and like not being a deconversion line, but more of a, we'll listen to you and not judge you while you grapple with this stuff. I thought that's perfect. That's exactly what I want to help people with. And so that's why I got involved with that. So yeah, activism is kind of in my bones. I do everything all or nothing. Everything is very passionate. So that's why I kind of jumped in. And then Patrick has just been really supportive of me through it all. Even before he considered himself an atheist, even as a Christian, he was still, supporting me with like writing the blog and stuff like that.
And a blog? What was that about?
Same kind of stuff, just like coming out of religion and reflecting on the changes in my life. I did one about like how I feel about sex now. One was about like mixed marriages, believers and non-believers. What else, Patrick?
Being a mother.
Oh, yeah. I did one called The Mom Delusion, where I talked about like what I was taught being a mother would mean and how it would be compared to what I actually feel like it is. I got a lot of positive feedback on that because I think a lot of people are kind of desperate to hear a real version of what motherhood is. So many mothers out there kind of like keep quiet about the struggles because they don't want to seem like a bad mom or make people think that they don't, appreciate the good things.
Yeah, I've always thought that was interesting because you're not allowed to say that you don't like kids, I guess. Sometimes you're human and you just don't want to be around them,
Yeah, I mean, even as a mom at this point, like there are times when I think to myself, maybe I shouldn't be a mom. And that's a horrible thing to think when you're already the mother of two. But the thing is, like, I struggle with depression and anxiety. And there are some days when I just don't feel like I can get up and do the things that I need to do. Like I force myself to, but I don't enjoy it. And I just feel horrible because, we're kind of taught that, as parents, we need to be on it all the time. And there's so many ways that you can fuck up your kids. And I just don't want to fuck up my kids. But, you're also human at the same time. And you have to be forgiving of yourself. And, eventually your kids will be forgiving of you too. I know I look back over my childhood and think about all the things that my parents did wrong and right. And, it's like, yeah, they're just human. Just like every other parent in the entire world, everyone makes mistakes. And so I kind of have to look at it that way.
Well, I know. Just to let you know, I'm fine. I'm perfect. And Christ is in my name. I heard Shannon Ebo's, I saw a post on Facebook where she expressed similar sentiments, actually, about, I don't always want to be, a mother. Sometimes I just want to, like, do other things and not be bothered or whatever. So, of course, she also, or she did work for recovering from religion. I don't know if she does or now or not, because I talked to her in another show, and she was doing the hotline for a while. I think she's still doing it. Oh, she's on the board, actually, now that I recall.
Yeah, she's on the board. I was actually invited to be on the board, but I had to turn it down for personal reasons. I just have way too much going on to take on that kind of responsibility. That's something that I would want to do super, super well. And if I can't guarantee that I can do it super, super well, then I don't want to take on that responsibility. But yeah, it was like a huge honor to be invited in the first place.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I saw a video of you at the Ark Encounter 1-year anniversary protest or whatever, and I shared it on my page. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what that speech was about?
For those of you who don't know about the Ark Encounter, which I'm assuming most of you do, it's Ken Ham's atrocity, life-size Noah's Ark.
Waste of tax dollars.
Yeah.
Huge waste.
Well, I don't think they're going to get those tax dollars now. But yeah, it's a violation of separation of church and state because they were getting tax incentives. But even beyond that, it's just an absolute atrocity as far as morality goes. That story is a disgusting story. It's a story about the God who supposedly loves all of humanity drowning all of humanity except for 8 people and 2 of each animals. I mean, it's a disgusting story, and yet it's told to children like some happy little fairy tale. And now there's this giant ass boat that cost $100 million to build, which that money could have gone to so many better things. And here it is standing up in Kentucky, charging $40 a ticket for people to walk through, get lied to, told all this stupid information as if it's scientific fact. It's disturbing. But my take on it in my speech was about how it's marketed towards children, and that makes me really angry because these children, they don't know any better. They're just being, they're just believing what they're being taught. And they're being taught that the earth is 6,000 years old, that God is a good God, and yet he drowned all of these people because they were wicked. And, in their minds and in their parents' minds, wicked means gay, sexually promiscuous, like all these things that aren't actually morally wrong. And they're being taught that that's why God, the God that loves them, would drown all these people. I mean, it's disgusting.
Well, I can completely understand that. I mean, Lord have mercy. I don't want to get into all the reasons why I think religion is complete bullshit, but the whole idea, I remember interviewing Dan Arrow on my last podcast, and he was covering it, and the kind of shit that Ken Ham, even like mainstream Christian people are like, just shut up. Even Pat Robertson's like, shut up, or whatever. If you got Pat Robertson telling you to shut your trap, I mean, you gotta be pretty far gone,
They got dinosaurs at the Ark and the Creation Museum as if humans were existing along with them.
But they were?
It's totally scientifically inaccurate bullshit, and they are teaching this to children. There was a whole area I got to walk through the Ark. I was there on opening day, and I was one of the 20 atheists that got to, get a free tour through the Ark. They have this whole area for children with like books about dinosaurs being alongside the humans and just all kinds of stuff, like bedtime stories and everything. And I'm thinking, this is why I am protesting. This is why I am here, because these children do not have a choice. They're being brainwashed into this stuff, and it will affect the rest of their lives. And I know that firsthand because I grew up in a family, that was evangelical. We believed in young earth creationism, at least at first when I was young. And I was taught that evolution was a lie. And I was taught that I needed to believe the Bible on faith and not doubt. And that if I was doubting, then that was a bad thing and I should repent. Well, that translates into not learning critical thinking skills. And that affects the rest of my life and the decisions that I make. Even as an adult, I was making terrible decisions because I did not know how to think critically and to question things and to doubt things. I just believed what I was told. And that makes me, that's what makes me the most angry about all of this stuff with children. Teach your children to ask questions. Teach them to doubt. Don't shove this bullshit down their throats and then I'm going on a rant. I'm sorry.
No, I want you to, actually, because that's kind of the point. I mean, the reason you do this is because, that's why you're so passionate. And the best activists are passionate about what they do, right? I mean, it's not like you want somebody going, I don't like it, but I'm fine. It's like, whatever. Well, that's not, that wouldn't be much of an activist,
Yeah, that's true.
That makes complete sense. So that was your last gig. Then you have been to a couple of conferences. Actually, I met you at NanaCon, the last NanaCon, for the first time, I think.
First NanoCon. Yeah. We briefly met at the first NanoCon. The
first NanaCon, I was out of it. And I think, I don't remember if I actually met you. I wasn't talking to anybody, I don't think, because I wasn't in a great place at the time. But
at this most recent NanoCon is where we actually, really hung out. Because you told me to come over to take a picture with you. All right.
Yeah, I was kind of shy almost because I was she doesn't really know me. So I thought, I messaged you on Facebook, I think. And I don't know if you don't know me, but can you come over here and take a picture with me?
But that's funny though, because I actually did know who you were because I remembered you from the last NanoCon and I had become friends with you on Facebook.
God, see, my memory is such shit. I mean, it's just amazing to me that I can remember my own fucking name half the time. Anyway, so I saw you there, and then I saw you at ReasonCon, which is when I think we kind of really, got acquainted more, even though you like sour beer, which should be illegal.
I do not like sour beer. I like IPAs.
Okay, well, that's even worse. No.
Jeez.
Sour beers are worse. IPAs are pretty bad.
Right. The rest of this podcast, we are arguing about beer.
No, there's no argument because I'm a beer connoisseur. Y'all are just amateurs. So.
But we don't even like sours, so.
Wait a minute! I thought you liked sours.
No.
Oh, that was for Brian and Lexi. No, sorry. That's right. You were the one that didn't like him. Okay, my bad.
We like sour, ambers, and porters and stouts. I'm telling you, we're talking about beer for the rest of this.
I know. I'm bad about that, I guess. I get on a subject I like, and then I just won't shut up about it. So, sorry about that. So, yeah, we met ReasonCon, and then we met at this Chattanooga Secular Saturday convention. Yep. And y'all I got to actually see y'all speak for the first time, I think. And I was really happy about that because y'all have an amazing story to tell, which is why I wanted y'all to start a podcast in the first place, because I thought y'all had a great story and a good starting point for a podcast where you could actually help people, which I think is one of the best reasons you can start a podcast for, That's why I was encouraging to do it, because I know y'all could help people. And especially with your history in activism, Jenica, I knew that you could kind of express it in a way that would get to people, people would understand. Patrick, I guess he just looks pretty. He's fine, whatever. But yeah, so
getting more involved these days.
Yeah, I see him pop up more, so that's good. Yeah, so what is your podcast? First of all, what is the name of your podcast? The one you haven't recorded anything for yet, but what's the name of your podcast?
Our podcast is Real Life Beyond Faith.
Yes. And we yes.
Not hope after faith.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we were slap happy the other night trying to record like a short clip for like a video clip for Patreon to upload. And we were so slap happy we could not stop laughing to record this 30-second little clip. And at one point Patrick was introducing our new podcast and called it Hope After Faith. No, that's taken.
Yeah. There is a blooper reel that will be on our Patreon account. So if you want to see the bloopers.
I was dying. Like, no, try again. No, we are real life beyond faith. That's what I named my blog when I first got it started in April of 2015. And I was thinking it works just fine for our podcast as well, because we'll be talking about the same kind of things. Just our journey, our experience coming from religion into atheism, what it was like to do that as a couple, parenting advice, pretty much just anything that comes to mind, like changes in our lives. We'll bring on people to interview. You know, some people will be talking about, you know, their journey out of religion, and others, you know, just for the hell of it because it'll be a good time. So yeah, we haven't published anything yet, but we
will be pretty soon.
Yeah, within the next few weeks, I'm assuming we'll be publishing and getting started with all that. Pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm assuming that you have somebody to help you. I'm hoping. Doing a podcast. I just mean as far as how, I don't know, as far as the technical stuff, I guess. I'm just like, I don't know how. I mean, I don't want to sound condescending or anything, because what the fuck do I know? You know, I'm not like fucking Brian from fucking, you know, who we stayed with in Chattanooga. That fucker. Holy mackerel. Like, dude, you need to like be an engineer or a sound engineer, because the setup he has is crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty epic. We've been chatting with him back and forth and sending him pictures of our mixer and stuff, and
plus
having him tell us what to do.
I'm pretty familiar with the software side of things.
Yeah, Patrick is computer smart.
And record and such.
Talky one, I'm the passionate one. He's the smart one. So we balance each other out.
I'm the smart one. I just gotta find me a passionate one. Well, plus someone that puts up with my ass, which is even a bigger problem. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, I'm surprised actually that you didn't do this before, because if you started that blog in 2015, I guess, well, I mean, the explosion, I guess, the atheist skeptic podcast explosion occurred a couple of years ago, I think. I don't know what happened, but everybody and their grandma now has a podcast.
Yeah. I mean, and that was part of why I wasn't sure I wanted to start one, because I'm like, well, do I really have anything unique to add to the conversation?
Plus, there was just so many that we didn't want to flood the market and just get lost.
Yeah, but if you think about how many Christian podcasts there are, like, we have a long way to go with creating atheist podcasts to catch up with that.
I didn't know there were a plethora of them, actually, because I don't pay attention.
Yeah, there are a plethora.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, there are a ton more Christians. Well, if you combine all of the different denominations of Christians, there's a lot more than there are atheists. And they are definitely making content. So we should do the same. Now, it's been in the back of my mind, like the whole podcast thing, because that was one of the big things that helped me coming out of religion, was listening to podcasts and kind of figuring out, you know, what do I believe now? Because I don't believe in God. So what do I believe? And so that was pretty instrumental to me.
Right. Yeah. Listening to podcasts was a huge part of our deconversion process. So now, if we could be that for other people who are struggling and going through the process, then that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what the fuck I'm talking about right there. That's the reason I told y'all need to do this shit, because, and that's why I thought, I mean, a niche market. I mean, there's not many, for one thing, there's not many couples that I know of. The only other couple I know is Rob and Amy from Secular Yakking. They're the only other couple I know of that are doing it. And I think y'all's perspective is even better, because y'all are coming, I don't know, y'all, it's almost like y'all grew together or whatever, almost. I don't know what their backstory is, I don't think. I haven't really heard it, but I think y'all's are unique because, for one thing, it seems like y'all are like a fungus, okay? So somehow you've creeped everywhere and everybody knows what the fuck you are. I don't know how that happened. It's because you're so fucking nice, and that's why I said there's something wrong, man. That's why I started the whole thing with, the shovels and serial killer shit. Because you're just too fucking nice, and I don't trust it. But no, seriously. I mean, yeah, I thought y'all had a good thing going, and y'all had a good rapport, and I thought, you know what? These motherfuckers need to start a podcast. Because for one thing, when I saw y'all at ReasonCon, I was like, oh, we're just chilling with Cecil. I'm like, what the fuck? How do you even know Cecil? From
just
Cecil, Tom and Cecil. I'm like, what the fuck are you even what? Oh my God, what the fuck's going on? And you're like talking to everybody. Oh, look, I'm like, what? Okay, this is ridiculous. So you got a built-in, you have a built-in audience already, and I kind of already knew that. And so that's like, man, y'all need to go ahead and get this thing going. Because for one thing, you're going to get a good reach. So I don't think that'll be a problem. And then, of course, I think y'all get a good message. And y'all are just, like I said, you're all nice people, good people. And I think that'll shine through your podcast or whatever. So anyway, I don't kiss your ass no more. But
that was the final push that got us to decide to actually do this. Because, we had talked about it here and there, but nothing ever very serious. And then after that weekend hanging out with you, we were like, maybe we could do this.
Yeah.
And then the posts on Facebook where people were encouraging us and stuff. It's like, maybe
we were handed some equipment.
Yeah. Once we had the equipment, it's like, well, we're definitely doing this now. And every step, Patrick's like, oh man, the pressure's on now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt kind of shitty about that a little bit. I was like, man, I need to stop. Because I was basically pushing that narrative. Like, okay, everybody, look. Tell me if y'all want them to be on a fucking podcast. Just go ahead and tell them. Do it. Tell them to do it. Do it.
And Lexi's like, if Patrick and Jenica don't start a podcast, we're going to riot.
Yeah. And Brian's going to post Nickelback to our walls and stuff.
Yeah, he was going to post a bunch of Nickelback videos to our walls if we didn't start one.
Yeah, so that was pretty fucking funny.
We have to avoid that, so.
We actually talked about that when we were over there. I'm like, would you listen to a new Nickelback? Or was it on the last podcast? I can't remember, but would you listen to a new Nickelback album if it came out? He's like, it's still Nickelback. So anyway, I'm going off topic. I don't want to, go into that whole night where I was forced to karaoke. All that good stuff.
Forced to karaoke.
Weren't you the one that started it?
Okay, that's neither here nor there. But see, Brian enabled me, so it's his fault.
I had to pull the mic out of your hand so I could have a turn.
Okay, well, it's because I'm used to doing Facebook. That's when I get drunk, okay? That's what it is. When I get drunk, I want to do stupid shit like that. So people need to stop enabling me. It's all their fault.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Anyway. So do you have any topics laid out before, what y'all want to talk about, any kind of direction or whatever?
Yeah, we have a working list.
Yeah, we actually do. I have a whole list written out. I'm actually grabbing it right now. So first we're going to talk about our journey. Patrick's trying to whisper to me. Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about who we are, our journey, our separate perspectives. Because like we said, Patrick, he was still a Christian for about 6 or 7 months after I became an atheist, and a quite passionate atheist. So that was kind of an interesting little road there. We had some discussions, a couple of pretty passionate discussions and disagreements. So we'll be talking about that stuff in more depth. But yeah, we're going to talk about religion and sex, parenting, the reactions of our family and friends when they realized that I was an atheist.
Things we used to believe.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. And we're going to bring guests on. The first several, we're just going to he and I just talk and talk about our journey and stuff. And then once we get a little ways in and have the basics, then we'll start having guests on. And I'm assuming that we'll have you on at some point.
For sure.
There's no assumption there. That's just a pretty much a foregone conclusion, unless Trump blows up the planet before then.
Yeah, which
Possible.
Not put it past him.
But I'd rather see y'all have, of course, my vision for your show. Let me tell you what I think your fucking show should be. I don't know. I think it'd be cool if y'all had like people, and I think people might like email you or message you or something about their questions or about things they're going through or whatever. You could be kind of like a, what was it, Dear Abby or something for Dear Atheist or something, you know?
Yeah, that actually is one of our plans, is to have like Q&A from listeners. Once we've had like several shows and they know what we're about and stuff, then we'll probably open it up either for patrons to ask questions or just anybody, anywhere. And we'll talk about those on the show, like maybe a segment. I don't know if we would want to do like a segment each week or maybe just a show every once in a while. Like I know Sam Harris does like a Q&A episode every once in a while, and that seems to work out pretty well. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think I'm excited because of the direction. I'm want to see the direction y'all go in, and I pay attention more to newer podcasts because I figure the other ones, they got plenty of listeners already. They don't need me. So I basically try to, listen to newer podcasts and see what's going on, because to me that's where the grassroots, I guess, people are. The people who are the real people, I guess. Not that, scathing atheists and, Thomas Cecil cognitive dissonance and serious inquiries only. Not that they're not cool or whatever. It's just, I want to try to concentrate on newer podcasts so we can get more. I mean, like you were saying, man, it's like herpes. These fucking religious podcasts are everywhere. And just when you think they've gone away, they pop right back up. Ugh. Anyway, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, but like podcasts you were mentioning, they're well established. They have a huge following, people who are dedicated to them because they've been around for so long. But for the newer podcasts, like we could have very good material and be, something great for people to listen to. But we're new, so we don't have an established audience. So it makes sense, to kind of follow that closely and, help the little guys get bigger.
That sounds kind of perverted.
Sorry.
Hey, your words, not ours.
I know. No, I mean, I got drunk when I was there and said a bunch of shit, and I probably shouldn't even. Oh God. Anyway, I don't I remember half of it. I don't think I want to. But anyway, so do y'all? I mean, can you reveal any of your? You said you have a whole list or whatever. Can you reveal, kind of give a teaser of what topics you might cover?
Well, the ones I mentioned.
We don't want to.
I know.
All...
Yeah, we don't want to give all our secrets away.
That's true.
One of the things I want to talk about is my experience homeschooling in a religious, very kind of sheltered homeschooling experience. So that'll be interesting. And maybe I'll even bring on some of my friends who were homeschooled too.
Ooh, yeah, that would be, because I know there's a lot of people who have questions about that. I mean, if you've ever watched like something like Jesus Camp or some shit like that, that's just fucking disturbing.
Those were the kinds of camps I went to. A little less political slant, like a Jesus Camp, the documentary. She was pretty political with these kids. We weren't so much political, but we were very, very emotion-based, like falling on your face, like worshiping and slain in the spirit. Like from a very young age, I was like being taught to speak in tongues, and I was a worship dancer at one point. So yeah, my childhood was a bit different than Patrick's. It was a little bit more intense, more charismatic. His was more like just, a typical contemporary Christian church. Conservative, yes, but not as whacked out. My childhood was a little bit more whacked out. So it'll be interesting to kind of like dig into that and dive a little deeper. I'm a little bit scared to like dig deeper into my past and stuff and like really think about this stuff and remember it, because it might be a little bit emotionally draining, you know? I think I'll have to really make sure I take care of myself as we start like really pulling back the covers.
Yeah, don't overtake. I mean, in some ways that can be cathartic, but don't hurt yourself emotionally or anything, or don't.
It'll be good. I think it'll be good to peel back the layers and really look at this stuff. I mean, even if it's a little bit emotional at the time, or like I have to deal with some shit, like this is some of the stuff that I just, it's been in the back of my mind, like memories pop up, but I haven't actually like talked about it, not in a lot of detail. So I'm actually really looking forward to doing that.
Plus, like we said, if you expressing or us expressing what we went through for other people, it'll help them realize that they might not be alone in what they're experiencing and help them along their journey.
That's exactly what I was thinking anyway. This is about y'all, not me fucking seating myself in every fucking sentence. But anyway, I did think that, and I thought that would be a great thing for y'all to do, because I can see that y'all want to help people, and I don't think there's enough of that shit, to be honest with you. Just people wanting to help people in general. But that's just my opinion, and especially I think it's important that people see that atheists can do shit that's good, and we're not all fucking baby eating Satan worshippers.
Right.
Wait, we're not? Oh.
Look, I thought we talked about this beforehand. We weren't gonna talk about the secrets. Ixnay on the secrets say. Anyway.
Yes, we're all wonderful human beings, just looking out for one another. Yeah.
No, I didn't go that far now, because there's a bunch of assholes just like there is in any other community or whatever.
No, but that is like the reason. I mean, that's the reason that I started my blog back when I did, because I was like, I've gone through all this stuff. I'm sure there are other people who either can learn from it or have experienced something similar and can feel like maybe they're not alone. So that's definitely been my motivation with everything that I've done, is like maybe my experience can be worth something. Because if all it is my experience with religion and it being like a negative one in a lot of ways, I feel like it's just a waste if I don't do something with it. Like I can turn these negative things into something positive by helping other people.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a good impulse, and that you need to follow that through if you can. Some people aren't built that way. Some people are just, I don't fault anybody for not wanting to kind of come out and talk about these things. Especially if you come out of it and you're kind of like PTSD or something. Some people just can't talk about it. And like you said, y'all can represent those people who can't talk about it or are afraid to talk about it for whatever reason. And y'all are out there and they can listen to you and they know there's somebody else out there like them. Maybe they can write you or something. They don't have to say their name or whatever, that kind of thing. And I think that's important, because I don't think people realize how many fucking like almost cultish behavior there is when it comes to certain sects of, not just Christianity, but I mean, that is one of the biggest purveyors, I think, is of some of these cults. And it's really frightening in a lot of ways.
My upbringing was pretty cultish, at least at the one church. But yeah, like I know what you're saying about other people maybe not wanting to go down this road, like the one that we've chosen, like to be open and like kind of an open book for people. I think it's because of my personality and I don't know, just the way that I interpret my feelings and beliefs, or I don't know, just the way I express myself. Like I have to be out and open and everything is just, on the table, kind of. That's just the way I am. Patrick, he's a little bit more reserved. but I think he has more of a desire to open up a bit too, just because he knows that it could be of help to people. And that's just us. Like, that's just the way that we are. And so I definitely don't fault anyone who wants to kind of keep it to themselves and keep quiet and kind of like deal with the stuff that has happened in their life, you know, on their own. For me, though, talking about it, putting it out there, getting feedback, that's how I deal. And so this will be perfect for that. Just kind of get involved in a real life beyond faith community. Kind of see where everybody's at and stuff. So it should be fun. I'm really excited that we're doing it.
Yeah, y'all have an amazing reach. I mean, there's people I don't even know the people. I'm like, how the fuck do they even know them? It's like, okay, you know, I'm just not even surprised anymore. And that's why I thought y'all would be able to get some reach out of it. I don't want to reiterate the same shit over and over, but you know, I'm genuinely, I can't even fucking talk. Generally don't get that. I mean, you know, excited about shit. But I mean, your podcast, I'm really looking forward to, because I'm looking forward to see what y'all can do in y'all's voice, because y'all are really genuine. And I think that a lot of people are going to recognize that and, you know, kind of appreciate that and reach out to you more. I don't think you're going to have any problem getting people to talk to you, to be honest with you. So are you doing anything right now as far as, I mean, you go to conferences and things, and you've done the speech. Are you doing anything right now that's kind of, do you have any plans as far as activisting in the future or whatever?
Well, I'm still a helpline agent for recovering from religion, so that's the main thing I'm doing right now. But as far as, like, you know, speaking at conferences or stuff like that, we don't have anything planned in the near future. I might go to Mythicist Milwaukee, but I'm not sure yet about that. Oh, Kentucky Free Thought. We're going to that. That's
September.
That's September, right?
Yeah, September.
Gotta see my boy Seth.
Yeah, that's
I like to call
the
him
main
my
reason I want. Well,
Yeah.
one of the main reasons.
No, Seth is awesome. So I saw he was.
Yeah, he's got that.
I'm like, yeah, we're gonna need to go to that.
He's got that voice, you know, like, I'm Seth Andrews and I'm sexy man.
Well, and even beyond that, like, he's just.
I know.
It's one of these people in the movement that I can't ever see him doing anything wrong.
Right.
Like, he's professional to a fault. Like, he is just, I don't know. He's fantastic. I think he is one of the best things we have going for us. He should be one of the 4 horsemen. We should just do away with the 4 horsemen and just have it be like,
just have Seth.
Seth is the president of atheism.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I got a problem with one of them's dead for one thing, but I don't know, they're almost the pure atheist or whatever. I think it's, to me, the direction we need to be going in is kind of the social justice oriented atheism, I guess, that almost the secular humanism. That's just my point of view. I mean, you can only take atheism so far. As in and of itself, I don't think you necessarily can just keep going with debating people and saying how shitty religion is, you know, forever. I mean, I guess you could, but you wouldn't get much reach out of it.
We do certain people to do that. The thing is like, people need to realize that, yeah, atheism answers one question, but it also opens up a lot of other questions that
it brings a lot of other stuff with it.
Yeah, and then you realize that you're answering those questions differently than you did when you were religious. And so, yeah, that opens up the door for a lot of different types of activism. And we definitely need to keep the people who are arguing religion constantly, who are mocking it. But we also need people who are going to do other things that are somewhat related to atheism, but kind of take a different direction. I think all of us are absolutely necessary, all the different aspects.
You know, there's room for the firebrands and there's room for the diplomats, I guess you could say. I think it just depends on the person. Different people respond differently to different techniques, and I don't think that should surprise anybody. You know, I mean, I myself am more of I try to be diplomatic most of the time unless something really just pisses me off, and then it's just over. I lose my mind, and I'm not too diplomatic. But y'all seem to be more of the diplomatic type, even though, I mean, it's almost like speaking softly and carrying a big stick. I mean, you do speak softly, but you also speak with great passion. And I think that's important because some people need that kind of push in order to get them over the hump, And then some people don't, it just depends. Yeah. So I'm glad to find out that y'all are going to Kentucky Free Thought. And I didn't know previously if you all were or not. I assume so, since it was fairly close to your hometown of Cincinnati. I wasn't sure up until recently that I was going because I frankly didn't, it's in Louisville, and in order to get up there, I would have to get up butt ass early to drive up there, and I'm just lazy. But Johnny Pike has graciously offered to let me crash there. Hopefully I can avoid another murder. I don't know if y'all are in league or whatever, so we'll find out. But
Johnny Pike is awesome. He's the one who actually gave us our equipment.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think that can be understated, actually, because he had actually told me beforehand, and I'm like, yeah? He's like, I just got it sitting around. I'm like, first of all, why the fuck didn't you tell me that before? I just sure as fuck use some fucking equipment. But, since you got it sitting there, you might as well give it to them for their endeavor. And he just like, yeah, don't tell them. I'm like, well, yeah, because I'm going to. No.
We saw his wife at the Ark Encounter protest, and that's where she gave it to us. I freaked out.
Yeah, she said she had something for us, but she didn't tell us what until the end of the day, right before she left.
Yeah,
that was a nice surprise.
They said that it was just collecting dust in the basement. I'm like, why aren't you using it?
Right.
That's what I said.
But hell, we'll take it.
Well, yeah, if you're going to use it for a good cause or whatever. I mean, even if you used it to record your baby eating ceremonies, that would be interesting.
That would sound gross.
Well, no, if you did a little incantations and shit.
Oh, gotcha.
Ceremonies, you know how the Satanists do, those ceremonies they have, and all that good stuff,
And I can think of things to record that could be interesting.
Okay, I feel like we're kind of going somewhere else. So you don't know yet when you're going. I mean, you don't have an exact date yet. I assume that. Well, I know that you're going to tell everybody before then, but
yeah,
you said within a month. Is that right?
About there, yeah. I think.
Yeah.
Give or take.
We're not sure exactly because, we have to figure out our equipment and
our system.
Yeah, do some sound checks and make sure everything sounds good, and then we'll start recording and editing, and so we don't have an exact launch date, but we're keeping everyone updated on Facebook. We're Real Life Beyond Faith on Facebook,
Twitter,
and we're RLBF Pod on Twitter. And I have an email address now too for Real Life Beyond Faith. It's reallifebeyondfaith@gmail.com. Send any suggestions, things like that. And the blog is www.reallifebeyondfaith.com.
Yeah, I didn't actually, on Twitter, if you have a contact, I didn't know this. I knew if you search for a contact, if you have a contact in your phone, it'll tell you if their Twitter, they have a Twitter. And it popped up on my Twitter out of nowhere. I'm like, who the fuck is RLB? I'm like, oh, okay. So I jumped around that shit, and I was the first follower. So I'm happy about that. So I was really excited to see that, and of course the Facebook page has been there for a while actually already. Did you have a Facebook page from your blog or whatever?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, but it's been since this endeavor.
Well, and also I was inactive on it for a long time. Now it's pretty active because we're starting the podcast and I'm updating people and getting more involved with that.
Well, it looks like y'all are getting a pretty good response from what I've seen. I mean, I don't have all y'all's mutuals, so I don't know how much feedback. I only know the feedback y'all are getting from the people we have mutuals. Mm-hmm. But I have to imagine that you're getting feedback from other people that I don't know.
Yeah. Someone who is a volunteer for Recovering from Religion, messaged me and was telling me that she's super excited to add our podcast to the resources list on recoveringfromreligion.org. We've had people, commenting, of course, on Facebook, and then also just messaging us individually to let us know that they're excited about it and suggesting certain topics. So, yeah, there seem to be a lot of people who are looking forward to it. I just hope that what we put out there doesn't disappoint. That's
Right.
the biggest stressor right now is okay, can we actually produce the content that people will enjoy? Because we've got all these people excited to hear it. So my thinking is yes, that we will, because we have so much content to talk about. We're never going to run out. So it'll be good.
You obviously have not heard some of the podcasts I have, and they just keep on going. I don't know why, because they're horrible. So, I don't think y'all are going to have any problem with that. Y'all actually give a shit. Some people, not so much. It's people put out podcasts about the dumbest. And it's because, it's a blessing and the curse. Anybody can do a podcast. That's a blessing. And then anybody can do a podcast. So I'm like, okay, maybe you should have thought this out a little more before you started it, because not everybody wants to hear about your toenail clippings or whatever. Just saying. So anyway, so within the month we'll get to hear the Real Life Beyond Faith podcast with Jenica and Patrick. And notice how I put Jenica first when I say Jenica and Patrick Crail, because for one thing, I'm not giving Patrick first on anything. It's bad enough that he is sexier and has a better beard than I do. So I'm not giving him first billing on any goddamn thing. So, oh yeah, and fuck the Penguins, by the way. I had to throw that in there. Yeah, they stole it. The refs won it for you. Congratulations, motherfucker. Anyway, so and Crosby getting it. Oh, my MVP. That's redonkulous. All right, I'm done. So anyway, you've already mentioned where your show's going to be. Your Real Life RLBF pod. I had to think about it on Twitter, and you have the Real Life Beyond Faith. Do you have a webpage yet?
Yeah, it's just the blog. It's
that's right. You have the shit. I just told you that. Yeah, I assume you're just going to use that. Okay.
Beyond Faith, and everything should pop up.
Okay. Yeah, that's the thing. Same thing with mine. Okay. Yeah, so just look for them in all the usual places. Of course, I will be keeping everybody updated, obviously, on the progress, and when it finally does come out, I will be telling everybody and their grandma. Literally, I'll probably be going out here, hey, have you heard about the Real Life Beyond Faith podcast? And I'm sure people around here are like, oh, yeah, I'd love to hear it. Yeah, no, not so much with all the Jesus freaks
You're
around here.
Kind of doing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You're our biggest fan. We haven't even done anything.
No, there's plenty others, apparently, because, like I said, y'all have already got, I don't know. I wasn't even looking. I'm like, damn, those motherfuckers have more patrons than I do, and they ain't even done anything yet. That's okay. I don't care. I think it's great, but I'm just teasing you. But anyway, well, I appreciate y'all coming on, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And just make sure during the production of this that you don't kill anybody and put them in your backyard.
Well, you're taking
no
all the
promises.
fun out of it.
Yeah, I know. Well, okay. Just don't kill them, maybe. Maybe
Just
bury them, and then maybe bury them. Oh, just kidding. Dig them up later before they're gonna. Yeah, wasn't that funny? Anyway, all right, y'all. Well, I've kept you long enough from your crazy couple things. Whatever y'all do, I don't know. Whip some chains. I don't know what the fuck y'all do. I'm not gonna kink shame. Anyway, all right. Well, again, it's great talking to you, and good luck with the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nice talking to you.
You too. Take it easy. That'll do it for this episode of the Podunk Polymath Podcast. I want to thank the Crails, Jenica and Patrick, for coming on and speaking to me about their awesome podcast. And I'm going to put it in everybody's face that I was the first show for them to come on to do an interview, of course, the way it should be. Just give me the one thing, okay? I don't have money like Noah and get all the money or get all the, props. So just give me this one thing, okay? Okay. Of course, if you want to check out the show, you can go to the podunkpolymath.com, which is the main website. Of course, the music is by ... You can check out their music at cdbaby.com/cd/... I'm on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Google Plus under the Podunk Polymath. You can email me at podunk.polymath@gmail.com. You can become part of the Patreon posse, patreon.com/thepodunkpolymath. Of course, the call-in phone number is 615-378-POPO-7676. You can join the Podunk Polymath Podcast Posse Facebook group, which is up to 75 members, I think. Facebook.com/group/the Podunk Polymath Podcast Posse, all separated by periods. And there's the podcast, Podunk Polymath Podcast online store, Zazzle.com/podunk_polymath. You can look on the sidebar there. You can see that you can follow me on WordPress. You can follow me on Twitter, and there's a little box with my tweets on it there. PayPal donate button, which I forgot to mention, actually. Or did I mention it? Who cares? I'll mention it again that somebody gave me a donation via PayPal. Rob Schreck donated via PayPal. I won't say how much because that would be not classy, but I want to thank him. I don't remember if I said it before, but like I said, who gives a shit? Because it's awesome that he did it regardless. Thank you again if I said it once, and thank you the first time if I did. I told you my memory is shit. Anyway, so make sure that you remember that the anniversary show is going to be August 12th at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Seethan Heathen being my Skype handle. You can leave a message at the aforementioned voicemail line. I'm going to have Zach Law as a co-host, and I don't know what we're going to talk about yet. I don't know. I'll let you be surprised by that, but I'd appreciate if anybody would call in via Skype. It'd be awesome. I would super appreciate it, and it would make me feel like I'm important. Well, until next time, y'all take it easy now, okay?